How's it going, everybody? I hope you're having a fantastic day. This video is going to be a few tips and tricks for the game, the last spell, to kind of help people, get better at it, understand it more, maybe explain some things that the game doesn't really explain unless you really look at it. Because while there is a tutorial, it doesn't really tell you a lot of the ins and outs. It just kind of goes over the basics. So, couple things I want to say if you're right before a battle here. So we're going to be coming up on a battle. As you can see, I had a battle prior because there's corpses everywhere. And what you definitely want to do is when you have your villagers, you definitely want to, use most of your villagers to scavenge these because you'll get extra golden materials. Depending on which one you need, you get to pick it. But another benefit you might not know is these have hit points. These have 50 hit points. Some have more, the bigger the pile. And the bigger the pile is, too, the more resources you get. So you can get more value out of it by having a bigger pile. And the way to distinguish that is to click and see the hit points down here and be like, wow, that's a bigger pile. So, but they matter in battle, too, because the enemy horde will attack these. And these will be obstacles or barriers. And they're barriers on your characters, too. You cannot walk through them. So keep that in mind when you're being attacked again, that this will slow the horde down. This will buy you time, this will slow them down, and as you know, the more stuff in the way, the better it is for you. One thing you can even do, if I'm getting a little crazy here, is you can get these just crappy barricades, because most zombies are only going to attack once. So if we place a barricade, maybe we'll place it right here, then maybe we'll place one here to go with the body. These will give you time. The zombies will prioritize these if there's nothing nearby. Like, obviously they'll prioritize a character, but if there's nothing around, they will waste their time attacking this. Thus, say there's a zombie here and it needs to move, well, he'll only move one space and attack this. He won't move his full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go up to here. Or he might maybe stop here, but you can kind of slow him down with barricades and buy time, and I think it's something a lot of people maybe overlook. I know they're cheap, and you can use resources on other stuff, but just keep that in mind, that the barricades and barriers are very useful for helping you, and the corpse piles that are there too. Now, that's going to lead me on to my second tip. I guess that was the first one. It was a couple there. But my second word of advice is when you are building your characters, pay attention to your perks. That's going to really impact how you want to build them. But number one, I really feel a lot of characters benefit from mana growth and magic fuel early on, because you only get so much mana back per day. You only get so much regen. My regen's 13 on this character. It's 10. It's 10. And a lot of that's coming from these perks here. I almost always prioritize these because I found that once you get into the harder days of the current stage, you're going to be using your mana consuming abilities more. And you're going to come to a point where you're finishing a battle and you only have like 30 to 40% of your mana for the next battle. And while there are like resources like the mana fountain here to get back some of your mana and stuff, it's just not as reliable as having that extra regen at the end of the battle to just kind of compensate that. So do keep that in mind when you are making your characters, possibly prioritizing the mana one first over any other, or at least getting one of them, especially like Harvester. It goes up to 25% of the max mana, and like I said, do keep in mind the different perks are present on different characters. I don't really know what determines what perks, because there really is no class. Soldier, Blacksmith, Scholar, and the Scholar happens to have, well, that's not their class, that's just like their perks. But you know what I mean. So if you can get mana, do it. I don't really know what determines what tree populates on the characters, like, because these trees are different on all the characters. So, but try to prioritize mana. I find it very useful, very helpful, especially when you're going to find you're running out and you're coming up on the boss fight and all your units have about 30% of their mana, and you're like, well, this is going to be a struggle because I can't use my really good AoE abilities or my really strong abilities. And that's going to lead me to my next couple tips, which we're going to talk about with battle. There are some really interesting things you can do in battle to make your battles a little bit easier, a little bit more, less complex, we could say. Now, when it comes to battle, it's important not to spread your guys too thin, but also not to, keep them clustered either. You need to cover multiple angles, and when you're, here we are, they're all pushing south. there seems to be a very big group up here. We got a mild group here and like a minor group here. I kind of got my guys in all three areas. But depending on what weapon they have, that determines their skills, and sometimes that's not enough. So you really gotta pay attention to that, and do realize that the enemy will prioritize your character generally over the buildings. So you can kind of bait the enemy to not attack the town if you, you know, position your characters in the right spot. So that's just something to be aware of to kind of save you some time. And you know, this is a couple tips because there's just so many. I'm not going to really like number them all. But save your AoE skills too, because a lot of times your AoE skills are going to cost mana. And you don't want to be just burning them because you can, because that's very bad. That's very bad. You're just going to run into trouble doing that because you're not going to have anything to burn down the big groups of enemies that are everywhere. So I definitely recommend against that. Also in battle, don't be afraid to take a hit. Now, you do have armor on all your units. This guy has 89. He's 168 health, as you can see in the top right. He also does have a little shield icon there, and that's his block. So what block does is block negates damage totally. So if he gets hit, 5 of that damage that comes in is just gone. It's just shaved off the top. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt him. The armor, that's 89. So, I mean, we'll just say he's got 94, even though he really doesn't. So I have 94 damage I can absorb, which is probably a hit or two. And the neat thing about armor that I never knew when I first started, and the game didn't tell me, and if it did, I'm just crazy, I guess. But armor comes back every turn. So it goes for the enemies as well. If you deplete their armor, that's all and good, but if you don't follow up and damage their actual hit points, you're not going to get any damage out. So do keep in mind that armor comes back, and it's a resource you can use to help. See, now we got 3 guys on him. So let's see what happens. Let's see how messed up he gets. He gets hit for 50. That's it? That's the only one that hit me? Alright, see, we'll take it. See, and he got his armor back. Ballista are really nice too. You're not going to have these right at the start of the game. You'll get them generally after you lose your first defense of the first town here. So that's when I unlocked them. They weren't even an option for me until then. But the Ballista are really nice because every turn they will fire off at the enemy, and they will buy you time to take out units. So do keep in mind, you won't have these, but they're very good. I got 4 here. I got a couple over there. And you can kind of use those as mobile defenders. They can kind of be, or stationary. So you can be like, all right, well, I got Ballista in the center of the town here. So anybody coming in the middle, I don't need as many defenses here. So that's also another thing to consider. But there's actually a lot more with the battles and stuff. And there's a lot more to worry about. A lot more that can happen, especially in the later stages. So as much as I want to tell you guys all these amazing tips, there's just not enough really for me to make in a shorter video. So hopefully a couple of these little basic tips helped. I know they're kind of spread out a little bit. They're not as all just one single thing. I kind of go over a couple different ones. But hopefully you can find some use out of these and get a little bit better, especially if you're just picking up the game and you're trying to figure stuff out and you want to, you know, have a good first run or two. Don't be afraid to lose. Losing will happen. It'll happen more than you think it will, and you just gotta kind of accept it. It's an unfortunate reality. But, you know, at the end of the day, you'll progress. This game has a lot of persistence that carries over between runs, so there's no need to worry about that. And you'll get better the more you play, and it'll get a little bit easier because you'll have more tools at your disposal, like these Ballista, that make your life a little bit easier. But hopefully this video helped you guys out. You got any comments or questions about the game or anything, feel free to drop them. I do appreciate it. You know, I love to respond to and read all comments that I can, and, you know, help others learn stuff and figure stuff out because, you know, I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy spreading awareness about games and helping people learn them. So thank you guys again. I appreciate it. Hope you, like I said, enjoyed the content. Let me know down below any questions or comments you have, and I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, later guys. Peace out.